It goes without saying, 2020 has been a total failure of a year. And speaking of absolute failures, here are 7 failed projects that never made it to YouTube. The first project we're banishing to the Shadow Realm is my CNC router. I started making a Lowrider 2, also known as the mostly printed CNC. The goal was to have all the tools necessary to cut out and 3D print all of the pieces I need to sell my own computer cases. Of course, now that I don't have the CNC components anymore, that dream is on hold. Mostly because it took up half of my garage, and I needed that space for other stuff. I sold the CNC router on Craigslist for basically what I paid for it, plus a little bit extra, to a guy who actually worked in high-speed robotics for silicon wafer production. You meet some of the coolest people buying and selling computer parts off of Craigslist. Back in February, I wanted to make my own handheld emulator based around a Raspberry Pi, but kind of shaped like a Nintendo Switch. I had a working shell with buttons, and thanks to conductive 3D printer filament and a 3D printer pen, soldering wires was a snap. But realizing how heavy it was going to be once I got as far as putting in a battery pack, and realizing that my phone was just as capable, if not more so, since it can actually run GameCube and the Pi 4 can't, and the phone weighs less. Basically, spending $100+ doing a Raspberry Pi handheld is pointless. Some time ago, AMD's response to Intel's Optane cache for gaming was a partnership with Enmotus, so that you can have an SSD work as a high-speed cache for your hard drive, working to speed up frequently accessed files. I used it on my editing computer in June of 2018 for about 3 months before a power outage or a Windows update or something corrupted the entire volume, and I could not recover any of the files that were on the hard drive or in the SSD cache, but thankfully I had just backed up my files a week ago, so I didn't lose that much, mostly just video projects I'd worked on. Of course, since I'm making this video, it's clear that losing a week's worth of progress really isn't to blame for any lack of uploads on this channel. Nowadays, I'm using a dedicated NAS over in the garage with 10 gig networking, and things have been flawless. Of course, I started using that NAS and recording footage a year ago, and haven't uploaded a video on that yet either, so.
And now for something completely different.
Have you seen off-road versions of skateboards and rollerblades? They're the coolest things ever. They've got big old wheels on them that lets them handle all kinds of terrain, and wouldn't you know, the internet is one such place where you can purchase big wheels. But should you is another matter entirely. I'd like to think that years of playing hockey has given me decent balance, but I was not prepared for throwing 6-inch wheelchair wheels onto my rollerblades. And it's not that things were unsteady. I used an entire roll of 3D printer filament per boot. So it was very stable in terms of its physical structure, but it was not stable in terms of actually being able to use it. A video I actually did finish, but never uploaded, was unboxing a 1070 Ti. I even did it around the time the 1070 Ti was released, but it was neither informative or funny, so I scrapped it. And I can already hear in the comment section, well, why do you upload any of your videos? Because they're stupid and boring. And I'd say, well, yeah, it's me again. Do you have room for another therapy session tomorrow? Okay. Before all the hype surrounding Cyberpunk, there was a lot of hype around Beatsaber, and it turned out you could make custom levels with some non-official tools. One cool experience I had was playing through a Star Wars fight scene where they kept all the audio from the movie, totally legal of course, and you got to reenact that fight scene. But whenever I tried to make a custom level, I could make it, but the game would never find the file. So that project never got made because I couldn't actually do it myself. Last of all, I saw some cool files on Thingiverse, which is usually how most of my days start, that would take the water from your faucet and change the way the water comes out so that it would spiral. Of course, I wanted to try having it come out square because I thought that was pretty cool. That never really ended up working, but then again, neither did any of the other shapes, because FDM printing, with all those seams in the layer lines, is a good way in the short term to have water make cool shapes, but in the long term, it's a good way to grow new kinds of bacteria. Ultimately, if you're going to try that, you need to go with resin printing. Hopefully, in the future, I will upload more videos than I give up on, which would be a nice change of direction for the behind the scenes of this channel. It's definitely not been that way for a while. I still have over a terabyte of footage for unfinished projects, but here's to hoping 2021 will be better, just in general, and also for actually getting videos up on the channel. Until then, go download something off my website, 3dpc.xyz. Go look at some cool filament colors, again, off my website, and I'll see you in the next one.